right now, and I wouldn't want to vote no, but I would like to know if this is going to be part of our future work stream, and if that is the case, we would like to have some assurance, maybe some kind of problem that I feel we need to solve before. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mercy, may I recognize that for us to address her concern?
Yeah. Yes. And then we will have Dalette.
Thank you. There we go. Thank you so much for bringing up that concern. Decentralization is almost like a meta tenant because as a tenant, as a concept, it is woven throughout all the tenants. And it's so hard to capture in just one of those things that I think that this would be a perfect way for us to put it in the companion documents as expressing that it bears with all of them. And so I think that it could be a way that we can make sure that that is understood for the future without having to reopen the tenants themselves.
Sorry. Can you be a little clearer? I think it wasn't quite understood over here.
Steve's going to try to add additional clarity.
Hello, it's Simmons, Civics Maker, drafting. This is going to be part of the official working stream as well. I think that will make us resolve this and hopefully we will agree to that. And I just wanted to know that this is something many in the civics community care deeply about as well.
Thank you, Kristen. And Mercy, I can tell you, I know there is work underway to create a sign up to continue those future work streams, so that there can be meetings that people can sign up to be a part of. Those with all of these future work streams, I believe there are about 30 future work streams that are tracked right now, 30-ish. And this is all been provided to all the delegates and alternates via the logistics channel. So you guys have that list of future work streams. So you can verify that your concerns are on that future work stream. Mercy, you have another hand raised in Nairobi, I believe.
We do indeed. We have Dalette in Nairobi.
Thank you, Mercy. I think someone mentioned it earlier that we skipped 2 or 3 important discussions on the premise that it was going to be addressed in the definition. So it feels like a bit and switch.
We did skip the preamble, and I would like to let you know that this recording live is brought to you by Monster Energy. When you don't know what to do, talk to your monsters.
Vote should be moved to a 2/3 majority. If we have it, and then the numbers should be published maybe into the Telegram channel so we can verify and not trust before we vote. And then I haven't seen budget items in 2025 for future work streams of the budget that's been proposed so far. So that will also make my community feel like I'm well closer to the vote.
Thank you very much, Dalette.
There is money in the civics budget for supporting this kind of work. I've seen this. There is money in the budget to start supporting those pieces. So, how's your budget in?
Is that maybe to assure? Can we? Is there a way that we can publicize that somehow? Like promise to publicize. Obviously not right now, but maybe we can put that in. I don't know, the Telegram chat or something like that.
It's actually, there is an AMA that the civics committee did a couple weeks back talking about this week. So it's literally, I know it's there. So you guys will be able to
Yeah.
It's there literally. It's there on YouTube. So Do you have an additional question or something?
We've asked for a temperature check to raise the voting limit from 50 to 65% or something. We just wanted to increase it since we've had overwhelming approval through all of these temperature checks, and the question is being avoided.
Thank you. So, because we yesterday changed the budget process a little bit from one aggregated budget to the option of having multiple budgets, it's very unclear for me right now what the net change limit is and where it is defined and how it is working in general. Is the net change limit simply the sum of all the multiple budgets? Or do we have to propose it somewhere? What is it? Can someone clarify this for me?
Over here. So Joel.
That's a great question. So the way it works is based upon treasury withdrawals. So anytime there is a proposed actual withdrawal from the treasury, there's an absolute requirement that withdrawal cannot cause the net change limit to be reached. So it is monitored every time the same is going to take money out of the treasury.
And for further clarification, the net change limit must be set first. Once there's a net change limit, you can set a budget. Once you have your budget, you can make a withdrawal.
So don't want to overdo this one, but it's in the guardrails around the treasury withdrawals. If you want to go read the text.
Good evening, EG from Aotearoa, New Zealand. Two key points I'd like to share. First of all, we are in full support of the suggestion from Maureen of Cameroon, the decentralization working group, and bringing it forward. Secondly, can I please ask for clarity on the process of the voting ceremony? For context, in our itinerary, we have run through other breakout sessions that say we have discussion and voting, and yet I get a sense that we're heading towards the vote, whether we ratify or not. And it's not clear whether those sessions are going to be, we're going to get the chance to have those discussions or not. So can you clarify that just to release some tension in the room with clarity?
Certainly, thank you. So the process would be, we would take a vote and see where we're at. If there needs some further discussion, if we're not happy as a group that we can go further, we get to a higher number, let's have another vote. Let's do that together. That's what this process is. It is now narrowing this down to, we've got the full text. If we have an issue that's a showstopper, can we bring that issue to consensus in the group? If we can do that, then it means a higher number. That's the goal. The goal is not to shove this through at 51%. No one wants that. We want to get to consensus. We've been working for consensus this entire time. And yes, when I tell you the numbers of hands that were raised were in the 70s and 80s, that's where they were. One was in 90. Okay, we're getting there. That's the goal, that's the job. So I'm trying to get us there together. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you. William Doyle from the Toronto Workshop. I have something to read for you. From each according to his ability, to each according to his needs. It sounds nice. This is the slogan popularized by Charles Marx, the founder of communism. Equitably is the idea that you should strive for the equality of outcome.
Marx was not the founder of
Now,
communism.
if you look at Article 1, Section 1, Tenet 9, the first sentence, it calls, I'll just read it for you. All the users of the blockchain, of the Cardano blockchain, shall be treated equitably. To me, equitably is synonymous with communism. I would also like to point out the way we arrived at this term is inconsistent with the way that we arrived at every other decision. Every other decision was put to a binary vote, yes or no. When we voted on the terminology, I believe it was originally equally. When we voted on the terminology to replace that term, we were presented with 4 options: equally, fairly, impartially, and equitably. I propose that we revisit this vote, this decision, with either a ranked choice voting system, or we go through a couple of rounds of voting to eliminate the least popular options and get down to a binary choice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me know if you have questions.
The only reason that's what the clause has is really just want to get everyone's voice heard, so let's make sure we do that. I was recognizing catch. Zach.
I'm not going to use a whole lot of time. I was going to bring up the same point and propose a revote because it was not correct.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's go here. Next question.
Cameron from Vancouver, Canada. Just on the same point, when the vote was concluded, equitably didn't receive 51% of the vote. It was short of that. And so that's why we're really bringing this up.
Very good. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. We will address that. So that this is what you're talking about, this is what you're speaking on, we are going to address that. We appreciate everyone's concern as we do this.
I also want to speak about the same topic. So far we have been discussing 2 articles at this Constitutional Convention, and I would like to ask the chair to tell the delegates the result of the temperature check yesterday, when we had the temperature check regarding Article 1. I think there's, speaking for a lot of delegates that want to revisit the tenets, basically. We need to have further discussions, in particular, at this point.
Thank you, guys.
I hope to bring attention to 2 hopefully uncontroversial things for us to look at. It's just about clarity and reducing attack vectors. So the first one, Article 3, Section 4. It's the last sentence. It means info action. Well, I guess that should be actions, please. Info action may also be used to seek approval for proposed Cardano blockchain budgets and Cardano blockchain treasury withdrawals. The and there, if you take away the first, the thing before the and, you get info action may also be used to seek approval for Cardano blockchain treasury withdrawals. It seems to me like the specific governance action that pertains to treasury withdrawals is the info action that is used to seek approval for those. So I'm just the second one, Article 6. Section 2, it is actually the second to last line, and it's this phrase, security critical parameters. So this is something the community's brought up a number of times. SPOs need to know which parameters they vote on for updating parameters. So what I would propose is we replace security critical parameters with the exact language using Guardrail 2.1 that says parameters that are critical to the operation of the blockchain, and you can reference that. I think that would add clarity. Thank you.
Thank you. And those do both fall under those kind of technical concerns that we had. So we have 2 hands over here, right there, and right here.
So, Article 1, Section 2 cites the Cardano blockchain shall operate in accordance with the guardrails. And later cites in the event there are inconsistencies between the guardrails and for the Cardano blockchain guardrails, appendix and any such guardrail that has been programmed and implemented on the Cardano blockchain, the version of the guardrail that has been deployed directly on the Cardano blockchain shall prevail unless an anterior replaced or revised pursuant to the blockchain governance action. It is clear in Section 2 that the guardrails have the precedence over the constitution that we are approving and that we have been allowed to discuss. Obviously, the guardrails require some important knowledge on what those guardrails are, why are there, there are some, I would say, minimal requirement to discuss those guidelines. One of which would be the rationale that is public on why those guidelines are proposed in the first place. So what I'm asking, there is obviously not enough time to go through the entire rationale to have the entire meeting to discuss it. So what I'm asking is, will there be a future work stream, and possibly with high urgency, since this is what as a community we are agreeing to discuss and further understand what these guidelines that have higher priority, what are we going to do?
Thank you, Michelle. Danielle, on that, the future work streams, do they include something for continuing the treasury, all of the guardrail discussion that happens with the protocol members?
Yeah, thanks, Luke. Of course, and this is something that happened a bit more informally this year, where we directed all the questions we got from delegates or from the community to the members committee. So that has been in process throughout this.
Mosey, can you hear me? And can you hear the people that are talking?
Yes. I'm Malik from Liberia. I would like to share a thought with you concerning equitably, equally, I'm not a native speaker, but I think I'm the only African delegate here, because I have the chance to have another nationality. But when we look at us here in my other African place in Nairobi, do you think, and this is mainly for native speakers, are we treated equally or equitably? Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we have two questions over
Thank you, sir, for the advice.
All right, so, Mercy, over to you.
Okay. Hi, Dr. Malik. Nice to see you. We are missing you here. Okay, so I am recognizing Nathan from Manila, Philippines.
Good morning to everyone there. I'm going to try to be very diplomatic about this. I will speak up for some of the people in this room and some of the people in your room that have been on me with DMs. I feel that a lot of you and a lot of us here have lost sight of the goal of working together to make this conversation and this constitutional convention work. As the day drags on, it seems to be like it becomes about me, it becomes about, oh, I feel this, I feel this. The same people seem to have their hands up over and over again, and they are arguing semantics that many of us here, English isn't even our first language. So I feel we've lost the point of this, where we're supposed to work together, trying to create this more or less constitution that has the heart of the community, the heart of the Cardano community, and what we want. We're getting lost in semantics, we're getting lost in arguments and technical details, and I feel like everybody is getting dragged down and getting quite annoyed at the fact that we're not working together anymore. It's becoming a very individual discussion about how people feel and how they feel bad about this. Personally, I also have a lot of things I'm not happy about, but in my room, I read the room and I realize, you know what? The group as a whole will benefit from me simply agreeing with this rather than my personal decisions. And I wish everybody else there can just feel the same way and understand why we are here. Because at the end of the day, even if this passes, or if this does not pass, we still need the SPOs, we need the delegates, we need the rest of the community to say yes to this. So overall, our individual power, our individual needs are not that important. That's all.
Thank you very much, Nathan. Should we go to the next speaker, or do we? Okay, so I will recognize Mohammed. Mohammed is from Tamale in Ghana.
Okay, thank you very much. It's obvious that a lot of us as delegates Still have a lot of concerns to raise, but we cannot really get everything done at this stage. Quoting from Mr. Charles' address yesterday, he said this is it's a process of progress and not a process of perfection. So we cannot really capture everything at this stage. We have concerns, all right, and we've had a series of dedicated workshops in July. And I mean, just Peter has just been speaking, and if we want to bring individual concerns and community concerns, although we are representing communities, but this could be included in the future workshops that can be addressed later. What I have to raise now is that we want to have a fully decentralized Cardano ecosystem for everyone. And quoting from Mr. Charles' address, he said, we want Cardano to like the world to run on Cardano. And for the world to run on Cardano, we need everyone in the world to be involved. So we need to make this constitution very inclusive for everyone. What I'm trying to learn is that I am a Cardano ambassador, I'm trying to meet up. So in one of our meetups, I was had a lot of participants, about 60% of the participants where the person living with disabilities, and the disability was deaf and dumb. So how are we going to interpret this constitution to deaf and dumb community members of the Cardano ecosystem in my community family? Are we going to have some visuals or like interpreters of sign language to interpret this constitution to them? If we have that plan in place, we should possibly let people know, or let's say, give me that assurance so I can announce to our community. If I get back and I organize a Cardano meetup, they come. So now, whenever we organize the meetup, we check our registration sheet, we find out if we have different people attending, we make sure we hire an interpreter to come and interpret the sign language. Whatever we are educating our Cardano, they interpret to them. Because they take us on. We want inclusively now, non-profits, NGOs are now pushing for these things. And so we need to also carry the priorities along. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for this time. Thank you very much. Danielle.
Thank you very much, Mama.
Danielle, to make sure there's a future workflow in our document that states assistance that is for people who are blind or deaf, the ability to, it's an accessibility would be, I think the appropriate word, is an accessibility workflow. I can recognize Steve.
Thank you for raising this. Again, this Council Civics working group graphic. I also am working in the support team, working group for governance, and we have a budget item for exactly this. I want to give you credit that I will personally be following this up. It's really important for me that this constitution is a living document that's accessible for as many people as possible. So thank you again for raising this issue. I assure you it's being worked on.
Thank you, Jason.
Yeah, I wanted to also say, I grew up, my father is visually impaired, so I've grown up knowing the importance of accessibility. And I'm so glad that members of our community who care about that, are passionate about that, and want to bring that to the world. I also want to thank everyone in Kenya and everyone here who have been bringing up these important points. And just reiterate, this is only the beginning of the process. We have to get through this, and we are getting through this. And Danielle's sitting here feverishly taking notes. Like, I'm feeling heat come off her keyboard sitting next to her. Because these things are going to be typed out and revisited for you all, okay? So I want to make sure you know that. These are not going to a black hole. These will be presented to you again after our breaks, okay?
If they do, my name is Quasar. I emerge from the black hole.
I send letters and want to speak also about what he's doing.
What is Sam? You recognize for?
Hi folks, so I've heard some concerns about the guardrails. I just want to open up lunch table. Anyone that wants to join me and Johnny Kelly, we'd be happy to go over any guardrails with you and take any feedback to the parameter committee of the TSC. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll be very quick. This just goes back to the vote over equitable. When we hold the vote, prior to the vote and during the vote, could you please put the definition of each word on the screen for non-native English speakers? Thank you.
to give a comment on what we're doing here. So on the threshold, to have a higher threshold for saying yes to the Constitution. I just want to emphasize what we're actually doing here. So if we compare us to the mainstream constitutions, what we have seen in the world until this day is usually 51%, right? And there are not so numerous options which are over 70% threshold. If we can do that, over 70%, we're gonna do a huge history, not only for crypto people, but also the mainstream people. I just wanted to emphasize that.
So I want to address 2 points. One is about what Jose said about the legislation. So I think we can maybe consider to have this as a threshold to be not more than 25% of the total. So just another layer of security. And the second thing is about the decentralization thing that was proposed. So I think in the future workstream, probably we can think of adding the DI index in the Constitution and have a percentage on this EDI index, whatever that is, and when it's ready. Thank you.
Just one comment in the opposite direction for raising the votes. I think we have to remind ourselves that we want to get the Constitution out of this event. And even if we do with 51%, I would love to see 70, 80%, and I think we can do it. I think we can actually do it. But I wouldn't raise it, because in the end, we're going to vote on chain anyway. Like, I think our primary goal should be to get a Constitution out of this event, vote for it, get a majority, and then let the chain decide. Thank you.
I'll recognize Jose.
Just a small clarification on the debt change concept. So this has been discussed since the beginning, the whole concept of how do we protect the treasury and how do we use it well, and how do we actually have a philosophical stance on should we spend fast and really make sure that if Cardano is going to make it or not, it's not because we didn't spend the resources we had at the time we needed to, or do we have a starting fund that lasts forever because we're guaranteeing it? So kind of from that approach, the net change limit was proposed as a concept that in no period of time, and we have to define what that time is. Initially, I think the internal constitution is time limit, and there's a percentage which that will change, but that it's only being proposed as a guardrail. And the actual values will need to be established by documents will then be ratified. So it's open to be changed, but it is there. It's core feature to protect. Even before we come to the budget process, that we spend, this also has a macroeconomic effect. So how fast do we put new tokens into the economy, right? So it has an effect. That's just some consideration because we might get into that conversation after we ratify that instead. Thank you, Melissa.
Hello, everyone. Gisela Rosa from Puerto Rico.
Mercy, one moment. We have recognized Gisela on the stage, and then I'll come back to you if that's okay. Thank you, Mercy. Gisela.
Thank you. The first thing I want to say is that slow and steady wins the race. Has always been a guiding philosophy of the Cardano blockchain. Thanks to this approach, we now have some of the best technology out there. So keep this in mind and on the future. Yesterday, a few delegates approached me expressing confusion about the way certain questions were framed. Apparently, the Constitution allows from the decentralization of resources under a single entity. For example, in Article 4, Section 2, the legislative states designated one or more administrators. Many delegates thought they were voting to changes to including designating more than one administrator. This change will aim to prevent decentralization of resources. However, due to the way the question was phrased, some delegates were confused. So I propose doing a temporary check and see if delegates indeed want to do a possibility of centralizing and funneling an entire year's budget to a single entity and potential add this to the contribution. Thank you.
Nadia from Philadelphia. Just want to comment on the temperature check we did this morning, where we decided about not having the definitions in the Constitution. I want to just comment that how we proposed that made us choose that they either would be or wouldn't be. Perhaps that is the question. Perhaps the question is, should they be in the Constitution or not, what we originally talked about. And then as a follow-up, what is the outcome of that? And I'm certainly personally in support of what has been proposed as far as a working group, but perhaps on the other side of that decision is the question of then how does that work? I'll just put this technical suggestion to the floor that is beyond me, so I'm going to read it, that we could have some kind of a temperature check on the inserting of the definitions directly into the Constitution after the committee defining them finishes, using an async signing method of delegates for the final ratification while ratifying the rest of the Constitution today. So the suggestion being, could we do a temperature check on whether or not the definitions should belong in the Constitution, and then from there make that decision so that we don't create too many outcomes by that check.
Thank you, Ms. Sullivan. Then I'm going to go back to Mercy after Jose, because Mercy got first.
I just want a point of clarification in reference to what you was mentioning. When you guys say create a working group or create a committee, would that have to go through the same election process that other members of Intersect had to go to? Because if we're electing chairs and co-chairs today with only, I believe, 68 people from the community, I don't think that is fair to the rest of the community.
I'm going to recognize that, Rush.
The proposal was make a committee of delegates. So the committee would be of the delegates and travel alternates, and if you wish to include them, members of the interim constitutional committee. So that would be a committee of this body.
Now, Mercy, you requested, so I'm going to turn it over to Nairobi now.
Okay, so I'm going to recognize Rubio. He's the delegate from Lagos, Nigeria.
Okay, I just want to comment on this equitable issue that keeps coming up. One thing in arguments is when you want to make a statement, most times build a precedent and build a case out of that precedent that was already established as a fact. So, in bringing up this argument, the person said that equitable means equality of outcomes. I have to spend the last 30 minutes trying to check if equitable actually equals to equality of outcomes, and I checked out, all my research says no. And I would like us to also have checked that, right? But the context of that statement is to say that if we already have a precedent that is wrong, then we cannot get the argument or opinion on the wrong precedent. But even if that were to be true, most people that are non-English speakers actually had a conversation on this issue, had a long conversation, and we all felt that equitable makes us feel more engaged in the Constitution. I think it's somehow hearing the conversation that we want to revisit it again, it now makes it feel that, so if you're going to revisit the conversation, are we going to also revisit every other conversation that we've had, that we voted on, that maybe we had non-polar, that we had to choose between 2 or 3 other options? Are we not going through a cycle of repeating itself again and again? We must understand one thing. We are not here to satisfy any one person or any group of persons. We are here that at the end of this conversation, no one person will feel satisfied, but everybody will feel satisfied at the same time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Omio. Lloyd, are you able to recognize me very briefly as a member of the drafting committee, working group?
Yes, Garcia.
I have very brief comments.
I'll be happy to recognize you in that capacity, and also I'll say that after that comment, let's move to a break. We'll take a 15-minute break following your comment, Garcia.
Yes, so I do want to borrow a little bit the sentiment that Nathan expressed earlier on, and as Jose said, there were a lot of thinking, a lot of feeling, and so on, when we were trying to put together the initial constitution. At the end of the day, what happened was that we all compromised. I'm going to share some statistics. I'm giving full credit to Kaminda in terms of actually even reading the room, and back to what Mohammed said in terms of it's a process. You know, we are meeting somewhere. We don't have it perfect at this point, but we have 16 delegates over here in this room, 17 altogether representing Africa, South Asia, and Southwest Asia. Altogether, the total population of that is more than half the population of the world. So that's more than 4 billion that is represented over here in Nairobi. So if you really want Cardano to be the blockchain of the world, let's read the room in terms of where adoption could likely come from. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marcia. Thank you for that reminder. And I would like to call a break at this time. It is a 15-minute break, everyone. Please enjoy. Thank you.
So please be back in the room promptly at 55 after the hour. Same thing in Nairobi, 55 after the hour.